What's up, everybody? This is Felix from InventBox, where the solution is right around the corner. And in this tutorial, we're going to take a look at setting up a web server on a Windows operating system so that you can host your own website for free. Before we do this, I want to take a look back at how the internet works so that we can see where our web server fits in. If you recall, when we type in a web address, the computer goes to what's called a name server to figure out what computer or what IP address this website name corresponds to. And once it has it, it goes there to that address, and the web server should be at that address. And we'll have to make sure that happens. And then the web server has the code for the website, and it sends it back to the computer that's asking about it. You can have multiple websites on a single web server, though. So in order to distinguish which code gets sent when somebody asks for a website, the web server also knows what domain name is asking for the website. If someone types in google.com and ends up at this IP address here at this web server, then the web server knows that it came from google.com, so therefore send the Google code. But if it came from youtube.com, then send the YouTube code. And we distinguish that using something called a virtual host on the web server, which I'll show you how to set up. We're going to be using a web server called Apache, which is a free web server. It is one of the most popular, actually it is the most popular web server out there right now. And that's because it is free, very powerful software, and it's also pretty simple to use once you understand what's happening. So we're going to go download a piece of software called Wamp Server. You can just go to wampserver.com. Wamp stands for Windows, Apache, MySQL, PHP. These are all tools that setting up a web server commonly requires. So we'll just scroll down here to the downloads and pick whichever bit version you need, 32 or 64. Most computers nowadays are 64, but if you are using an old computer, or if you're like me and you love going into the dumpster and pulling out a dumpster computer to set something up on, then 32 bits. But we'll grab this. Go ahead and read through to see if they want you to install other stuff. Sometimes they do, but we just need to download this directly, it looks like. Click on the green download button and we'll let this download. All right, it's finished downloading. So let's run this installer. It's pretty similar to any installer, so we're not gonna go over this, but go ahead and install this. Okay, so now that Wamp Server is installed, let's go ahead and run it. And what should happen is we should get this in the taskbar down here, this little shortcut to the Wamp Server logo, and it'll be red at first, then it'll turn orange as some of the services start running, and once all three, which would be Apache, MySQL, and PHP, once all three are running, it turns green. And when that happens, we can go to localhost in our browser, and you should see the Wamp Server configuration page. Now, this is just a central page that has some version information for you. And you'll see down at the bottom, your projects. Now, it says no projects yet. To create one, create a directory in www. www is actually the folder where Apache looks for websites by default. And we can access that by coming over here and clicking on our WAMP icon and then clicking www directory. Here it is. It's got all of these different files in here. The one that is currently displaying on the browser is this one, index.php. And then these are all just different resources and scripts for this page. As it said, if we want a new project, we can create a folder in www. New folder, and I'm going to call it squid.com. And if we were to reload this, sure enough, it displays down here. Now, every website needs at least one file, and that would be a simple HTML page. Now, we always name the home page index.html. That's just the name that your browser knows is the home page. So we'll call it index.html. And you'll notice that over here under type it says text document, but this is actually a web document that tells us what a web page looks like. So we need to change this so that it recognizes it as HTML and not text. To do that, you want to open up the show or hide file extensions settings. Right here you'll find a checkbox that says hide extensions for known file types. Uncheck that, hit apply, and now you can see that it was being sneaky and it was actually a .txt file. So let's delete that. It'll give us a warning, and now it is an HTML web document, and you can see it wants to open it with my web browser. So that's just what we want. We'll come in here and I'll just open this with a text editor, and we'll put a very basic website in here using HTML. If you're not familiar with HTML, then have no fear, just type along with me for now, a very simple website like this, and then you can go check out our web design, HTML, and CSS and JavaScript tutorials here on InventBox. We'll just make a very simple website. Okay. We will save that, and now if we were to open this page, just open this file, and you can see we're not really on a website, we're just looking at a file. We've got a simple website. If we want to view that website now, because Apache is running and it's in the www folder, we can go to localhost, which points to www by default, slash the folder that we just made. And because we named it index.html, it automatically knows that that file is the home page for this website. And so here it is on our Apache server. Now, nobody wants to have to type a long thing like this to get to a website. We want it to just be squid.com. To do that, that's where we need the virtual hosts that I talked about at the beginning of the video. The virtual hosts allow us to specify which website gets served depending on what domain comes into the web server. Now, to modify Apache's virtual hosts, come back over here to your Wamp icon, go to Apache, and find httpd vhosts.conf. As you can see, there is one default virtual host configured. Here we have any domain coming into the web server on port 80. Now, computers talk on multiple different lanes. It's like different lanes of traffic. Each lane has a different purpose, and for websites, we use port 80. Server name specifies when someone types in server name and it goes to the web server, it sees that name and then all of this stuff underneath it applies. So because this is localhost, whenever we type in localhost and it goes to our web server, then all of these here, you can see the document root is set to that www directory. So when someone types in localhost on our computer, it goes to the web server, recognizes localhost, and then points it to this www folder. And then this directory option here these are just some standard options. We don't need to worry too much about those. But these are like right here, this line talks about the permissions. Actually, all of these talk about permissions in some sense. But this last line, require local, tells it who is allowed to view this website or view this directory, www. If it's set to require local, then only this computer that I'm on right now is allowed to view this website. But we can change that later on once our website is done to allow everyone to see it. We need to create a new virtual host for our website, so I'll just copy and paste it. And the server name we'll put as squid.com. And then server alias is an alternate name. So you could put the same thing, or you could put something very similar that you want to also correspond to your website. So you might put www in front. Squid.com corresponds to the squid.com folder that we created in the www folder. And don't forget the slash here at the end on the directory one. And we can just leave all the permissions default for now. But we will need to come back and change this to make it public later when we're done. So we'll go ahead and save this file. And now let's try going to squid.com. Okay. what we need to do, I forgot, every time we update our configuration files, we need to restart Apache. So we can do that here. Just hit restart all services. And we'll wait for this little icon to go green again. There we go. Reload this page. And look at that. It shows our website. Now, before you get all upset because I stole squid.com from the internet and did not purchase it, hold your horses. I actually have not stolen this domain. I did not buy it, but this is not the real squid.com. What I have done is, going back to this diagram, I have actually tricked my computer so that whenever it asked what squid.com meant, I intercepted my computer's request and gave it my computer's IP address so that it just goes straight to my computer as the web server instead of finding the real one. To do that, if you want to, all you have to do is modify what's called the hosts file on your computer. To do that, find your text editor and right-click it and run as administrator. That'll let us modify deeper files in our computer. And so go to open, and you want to go into your C drive, into the Windows folder, and then into System32, then drivers, etc, and then change this to see all files, and you'll find this hosts file. Go ahead and open that, and you'll see in here it looks kind of like one of these name servers, right? Because it has a domain and it has IP addresses right here. See, look, IP address, domain, IP address, domain. And so I have specified that if someone asks what squid.com means, give it this IP address. And if you don't know, any IP address that starts with 127 means this local computer right here. So I have actually redirected all traffic from this computer on squid.com to this computer. This could be kind of funny. If you were to modify this on one of your friends' computers, you might put youtube.com right here and point it to your website IP address so that every time your friend tries to go to YouTube, they end up at your website. Kind of funny, maybe a little bit mean, but it might get a laugh out of them. All right, so now that we have an understanding of the domain being correlated with the IP address, and the IP address is our web server, let's go ahead and open up our website to the rest of the world. We'll make it go public because I am satisfied with this incredible website. So to do that, back up here to our virtual host file, and we'll change our squid.com from require local to require all granted. We can save that, and of course we change the configuration file. So we need to restart Apache. You can also do that by right-clicking on Wamp Server, going to Tools, and hit Restart DNS. And once that goes green, we'll just test it over here again to make sure that it works. Okay, it still works. Now, since we've made it public, we should be able to access this web server from a different computer and still have it give us the website. So to do that, we're going to need this computer's IP address. And you can get that by opening up your command prompt and typing ipconfig. And you will find, I'm currently on Wi-Fi, so under wireless, I find there's IPv4 address. There's also version 6, but we're looking at version 4. Here it is. My computer is located on my network as 192.168.1.119. Now we can switch over to another computer to try to access this website. Okay, so we are over on Darius's computer right now. And if we were to type in the IP address of the web server that we just set up, now Darius's computer is on the same internet network that mine is. We're in the same house. So that means that his computer is able to see mine directly. If we were in a different house or different building, then we would not be able to directly see each other's computers yet. But because we're in the same network, I can access that my computer with the web server at its IP address. And you can see we are actually getting an Apache web page here. It's not the one we want, but that's actually okay because we specified that our website would only work at squid.com. And since the website sees that we're coming in from just a straight IP address instead of from a domain name, it doesn't know what to do, and so it gave us the default page. I just went into Darius's hosts file and modified it so that it will redirect squid.com to this IP address. So we can actually just type squid.com and it redirects us to my computer, which is the web server, and gives us the right website. So that is pretty cool. Now that we have the web server running properly, in the next video we're going to take a look at getting a real domain for free, not just faking it, but we're going to actually buy one. I'll show you how to get them for free as well, and how to hook that up to your web server.